What is up, guys? I'm so pumped to talk about this Thursday night game against the Vikings because we just got some massive news that could completely change everything for the Chargers offense. A big star player says he plans to play against the Vikings this week, and I cannot stress enough how huge this is for our chances on Thursday night. I mean, this is the boost the offense desperately needs right now. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. So, let me break down what we're looking at here. After two limited participation practices this week, one being a projected one, star left tackle Joe Alt was asked by the media if they'll see him on Thursday night, and he said that's the plan. Now, it's not a guarantee, but it's as close as we're going to get at this point. I know they put him through vigorous workouts last week, according to Fernando Ramirez, a Chargers reporter for the Sporting Tribune, before the game to see if he could play, and he was doubtful. But now it seems like he could be back just in time for a game that honestly feels like the Chargers have to have. And when you look at the numbers, he's missed most of the last 4 games, right? He missed the last 3 straight up, and then he was out in the first quarter against the Giants. The Chargers were 1-3 in those games. When he played, the Chargers were 3-0. I know it's not that simple, but I don't want to undersell how big it is, even with a messy offensive line, how big it is to get this one piece back. Let me sell you this even more. The Chargers' left tackle right now is Austin Deculus. In 183 pass blocking snaps, he's given up 4 sacks, 9 hits, and 23 pressures. Joe Alt, in 142 pass blocking snaps, has only allowed 3 pressures and 1 sack. That was it. That is a completely different situation here. We're going from a guy who's already playing at the top of his craft to a guy who was supposed to be a replacement level player, and you see the difference in the quality of play between these two guys. It's just night and day different. Joe Alt is a true difference maker, not only in pass protection, but also as a run blocker with his unique length and his just tremendous size and strength. He is a weapon, and the Chargers need weapons on that offensive line. They don't have many of them. He is the tip of the spear for the Chargers offensive line. So to get him back, it is absolutely huge.
I think just for the peace of mind for Justin Herbert, just to know, hey, I'm not just going to get destroyed on my blind side, right? That happens so much less, and it has to help him mentally. But yeah, I mean, there is also a chance Trey Pipkins is back this week. He's been limited both days this week, one of those obviously predictive. Bobby Hart actually wasn't that bad last week, kind of surprisingly. But I do think that this is so huge in the passing game, in the running game, just for what the Chargers can do offensively as a whole. And I think especially with the defense reeling the way it has, the Chargers needed a way to put up more points. Now let's talk about the first key for success, and I think it's really the biggest one, the overwhelming one, which is just to have a great plan for what Brian Flores is going to bring to the table and feed Keenan Allen, because that is what the game plan was last time these two teams went up against each other. I mean, it was blitz, blitz, and blitz. And that's what this team does. They're second in the league in blitz rate, but the Chargers, give Kellen Moore his flowers, had the perfect plan against it. The Chargers were able to outscore the Vikings in that game, and they will need to have a similar plan this time around. Brian Flores and his unit are trying to come after Justin Herbert with everything that they have, because that's just how they play defense. That's how they have to do it. So you got to know what your hot reads are. You got to know who your quick receivers are, right? Like Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen, who obviously excelled, had one of the biggest games of his career against the Vikings to the tune of 200-plus receiving yards and a 50-plus yard passing touchdown in that game to Mike Williams. Just one of the better, just all-around wide receiver performances that we've seen in a Chargers uniform, especially lately. That was a big-time performance. But I also want to throw Quentin Johnston in there as well. I just feel like you got to get the ball into the hands of these guys quickly and allow yourself to stay ahead of the sticks and keep that pass rush at bay.
When you're talking about a bad matchup for what has been a decimated Chargers offensive line, we're talking third in pressure rate at 42.9% according to True Media. Also third in sack percentage, getting sacks on 9% of dropbacks on quarterbacks. Those are really good numbers. And they're second in the league in blitzing. So you're going to have to know who's coming and who's not coming. But getting Joe Alt and potentially Trey Pipkins back is huge in that. The quick passing game is going to be critical. And the one thing that's different this time around is they also have Ladd McConkey, who's a really good quick game specialist as well. So to have both of those guys, I know Brian Flores is going to be thinking about Keenan Allen a lot when they go into this matchup. At least you have other guys you feel good about taking up that mantle if they decide to kind of push their coverage that direction. My other key here is just pretty simple. Running back is going to have to step up. Who that's going to be, we'll see. But the Vikings this year are right next to the Chargers in the rankings, allowing 117 rushing yards per game. And it's not just even about as a rusher, like as a pass protector, right? When you go up against a blitz-heavy team, who you have protecting the passer as far as the running back and him knowing which guy to go try to pick up is paramount. It's absolutely gigantic. And also, when you're going up against a team that pressures this much, you're also needed out of the backfield as a receiver too. So when you're looking at it, Hassan Haskins, according to Jim Harbaugh, is doubtful for this game. Kimani Vidal is the only healthy running back on this roster. There's only two, and one of them's doubtful for this game. They also have 4 guys on the practice squad now. You have Nyheim Hines, who's been elevated recently, Amar Johnson, who hasn't seen any action, Jared Patterson, who has been around but not really in the fold at all, and then Travion Williams, who they just signed this week. So somebody's going to have to step up because running back, even if it's not just pounding the rock and running the football, is going to be such an important role for this offense this week.
Another key is to start fast and finish in the red zone. The Chargers are 31st in red zone scoring percentage, and the Vikings are 4th best in opponent red zone touchdown percentage. But the numbers are grossly different at home versus on the road. At home, they're giving up touchdowns only 28.57% of the time. On the road, it's 60% of the time. So they are much worse at preventing touchdowns in the red zone on the away games. The Chargers absolutely have to capitalize on this. And if you start fast, you're able to get the Vikings out of what they want to do, and you get to impose your will on this game. It's been the one thing it feels like we have to point out every week, and at least there is some momentum. The Chargers did much better in the second half last week once they got into the red zone, but because they didn't start fast, it was too little too late because they weren't able to come back. It was 23-3 at halftime, so obviously it is hugely important going into this one. Now let's talk about the defensive side of things. The pass rush has to show up because it has been pitifully bad over the last several weeks. Khalil Mack is back, and they're going to need a lot more of him, but it's going to take more than that. It's going to need a group effort. We know now it's going to be Carson Wentz on the other side of things, which I do think is an advantage. Carson Wentz is a backup for a reason. I do think that you see it much more often, though, when he gets bothered. This is a guy that he will take some sacks. He will hold on to the football if you don't make it easy for him. If you make it easy for him, he can deliver it just as well as any other mid-quarterback in the league. When you saw him last week, he threw a really bad pick, and then after he started getting affected by that, he threw another just kind of Hail Mary throw and got picked off again. And, Carson Wentz will give it to you. He's thrown 4 interceptions in 4 games, 2 interceptions in each of the 2 losses that he has had starting as quarterback for the Vikings this year. So he will take unnecessary chances. The Chargers have to make him pay when he does that. Also, the Vikings have fumbled 11 times, and they have lost 4 of them. So punch the ball out. Look for any way that you can to get that ball back to Justin Herbert with a short field. My prediction for this game, since Joe Ott is playing, I'm going to pick the Chargers to win 24-20. I think it'll be a solid 24, have to earn it a little bit more than last week.